Hi, my name is Kelly. I am the owner and designer of True Bias Sewing Patterns. And today I just wanted to check in with you guys and talk a little bit about our newest pattern release. That is the Casey boxer short and pant sewing pattern. The Casey is a boxer style pattern. It comes with 4 different views, and so that includes 2 different rises, so both a mid-rise and then a high rise. And then it also comes with 2 different lengths, so more of like a traditional boxer short length. That is about a 3-inch inseam, and then a PJ pant or full wide straight leg pant, which is about a 29-inch inseam. All views come with an elastic waistband. It also has a faux fly with 2 just small little 3/8-inch buttons. And then it also comes with optional pockets. So my preference is kind of, if I'm wearing them as a traditional boxer or PJ pattern, then I always omit the pockets just for a comfort level. But if I am going to be leaning into that boxer style trend, which is all over the place right now, then I do like to go ahead and add the pockets. Sometimes I also omit the faux fly completely and just go for, a more traditional elastic waist pant or short that you can easily wear out and about. So as far as suggested fabrics go, you want a light to medium weight woven fabric, so non-stretch. Anything from about like a 2 ounce to maybe like a 5 or a 6 ounce range. Just kind of depends a little bit on whether or not you are going to be wearing them as PJs or wearing them out, because sometimes those lighter weight fabrics can be quite see-through. So something like this, which is like a cotton lawn, cotton voile, is a really good option, especially for a lightweight summer PJ. I also love a PJ in silk. I think it would be really fun to also make a pair of silk pants. They just feel so good as PJs. This is a little bit closer to like a quilting cotton weight. This worked quite well. Linen is an amazing option. So either 100% linen, like this little pair, I love this for kind of like the beach and stuff, or even like a rayon blend. So think a linen cotton blend or a linen rayon blend. That's going to just like soften it up and make it wrinkle just a little bit less, which I'm always a big fan of. As far as notions go, you are going to want some coordinating thread. Just some all-purpose thread usually works just great. You are going to need 1-inch elastic for the waistband. We do have suggestions on the length that you should cut the waistband elastic to for comfort at your waist at both the high rise and the mid rise level, but just keep in mind that different elastics are different. So something like this, which is like more of like a non-roll elastic versus a traditional soft waistband elastic, those are going to hold their shape a little bit differently. So I do suggest actually wrapping that elastic around your waist at the point where you want it to hit, to figure out the length that you want it to be. So keep that in mind when you're picking out your elastic and what length you cut it to. You're also going to want a couple of small buttons. It calls for 3/8 of an inch buttons. You can see I usually go for just these little white or ivory kind of traditional buttons for, a more traditional boxer look. But, wooden buttons would be cute. On this really fun pair, I put these little can you see that? There we go. These little like flower shaped buttons, which were really fun. I do think anything between kind of a 1/4 of an inch to maybe a 3/8 of an inch button would work. Anything bigger than that, I do think it's going to start looking kind of homemade. So I do think keeping a smaller button is key to keeping it looking very ready to wear. That's it for notions. Now, as far as difficulty level goes, this really is a beginner-friendly pattern. There's a few things that will make it more beginner versus more like advanced beginner or confident beginner. So if you are a true beginner sewing up this pattern, I would just make sure that you do choose a fabric that is really easy to work with. So just think like maybe a cotton lawn, a quilting cotton, a linen, but nothing like slippery like a silk or a rayon. That will definitely help. You could also choose to omit the pockets, which is, an optional thing in this pattern that will definitely make it more beginner friendly. The only other thing that maybe is like the teeniest bit tricky is the way that I insert the elastic waistband. Now, I love the way that the elastic is inserted on this pattern. I feel like it's a very ready to wear method, but essentially it is very clean on the inside. So the way that the instructions have you attach it is you actually attach the top edge of the elastic to the top edge of the pant, and then you flip it down a couple times, and then you sew actually through that like bottom edge of the elastic, and that makes sure that the elastic never rolls. I know that happens a lot in the wash to me, and so that is one of my pet peeves with elastic waistbands in general. It also just makes sure that the elastic in the waistband stays really snug and tight. There's not like extra room around the casing. That being said, if this method feels a little bit new to you, a little bit scary as a beginner, you can always just do a traditional waistband casing to insert the elastic into. I am going to be showing in my sew along 2 different methods. So the traditional method that I use with the casing instructions, but then I'll also be showing the more beginner friendly traditional method of doing just like a waistband casing. So either way, if you are feeling a little bit scared about it, you have 2 different options. So all that being said, I do think a beginner can totally sew up this pattern. This is one of our most beginner friendly patterns that we've ever released. We have a sew along starting on Monday. We always do sew alongs for all of our patterns. There will be 2 sew alongs. So one that lives on our blog that is a photo sew along. And if you are like me and you definitely prefer video, you're a real visual learner, then we are going to be taking you step by step through the entire instructions with some of these alternate ways of doing things too, and little tips and tricks right here on YouTube. So be sure to follow along with that if you feel like you just need a little bit of extra hand holding. Nothing wrong with that. Now, as far as the fit of this pattern goes and how it leans, there is 5 inches of ease through the hip area of the shorts or the pants. You don't need to worry so much about the waistband because you are going to be adding elastic into there, so you can, adjust that elastic as needed if maybe your size doesn't fall exactly at the waistband measurement. But as far as the hips go, I would, definitely lean into what is suggested on the size chart for your measurements. I do know that it is quite on trend right now to have things pretty oversized. I would say that this pattern probably does lean a teeny bit oversized, but if you really want that oversized look, then you could go up a whole size or even 2, depending. We do draft for someone who is about 5'5", so that length of especially the pant, but also the short, is pretty easy to just shorten at the hem because it is more of a straight leg pant or short. You can just, take it up about an inch or take it down about an inch, and it shouldn't make a big difference in the fit. That being said, we do have length and shorten lines all over the pattern that you can use to adjust as needed. Now, lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about styling the Casey pattern. This was originally designed as, kind of this boxer short PJ pant that we could pair with some of our other patterns. A lot of people like to use our Ogden cami pattern, which is our other very beginner-friendly pattern, to make a little sleepwear set. And so I thought this would be a perfect combo. I have lots of dreams of making a bunch of, Ogden cami and Casey sets in silk. I just think that will feel really nice. But also I do think that the boxer short is a big trend right now just to wear out and about. So I see a lot of people on Pinterest and such wearing them, with tank tops, with button ups, with sneakers. And I think that's a really fun way to wear them. We do have a Pinterest board with lots of ready-to-wear inspiration, so be sure to check that out if that is something that you are interested in looking a little bit more into and exploring. This is also just like a really good, solid, well-fitting elastic waist short or pant, in my opinion, especially with kind of this wider leg, which I think is super on trend right now. So as I've mentioned, it's very easy to just kind of shave off that faux fly fly at center front. You could also just do the faux fly, but eliminate those 2 buttons. If you want a little bit more of a traditional short or pant look and sew that up in something like linen or a rayon challis or a poplin, just for a great little elastic waist, short or pant. I have lots of plans of making some little matching sets with the Casey with both my Quinn vest pattern or my Aster top pattern, which is a little square neck crop top pattern. I do think that those sets are very fun to wear and easy to mix and match and work really well with the Casey. Okay, that's everything I can think of right now to talk about the Casey. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know below if you have any questions about this pattern. Be sure to tune in next week for our full sew along. Also, if you hop on over to Instagram, we do have a highlight for this pattern, which I'm including all sorts of stuff, whether it be, fabric and notion recommendations, different samples that I'm wearing, also, links to the sew along and such. So check that out if you are just wanting to explore more, see more photos of the Casey on lots of different bodies. And I hope you love the pattern.